Yeah, welcome everyone. Marijuana Time Show, December 29th, 2017, the final show of the year. I will have a little year in review posted up on marijuanatimes.org the next few days, going back over what happened in 2017, another big year in the world of marijuana law reform. Of course, marijuanatimes.org, you can find these videos and much more. You can also search the Marijuana Times on YouTube and on Facebook to find these videos as well. And on Apple Podcasts, you can find the audio version of this show. I guess formerly known as iTunes. I guess it's officially Apple Podcasts now when you refer to it. I don't know, either one. Whatever you call it, search the Marijuana Times on it and find the show and share the show and all that good stuff. Got a lot of stories coming up, including a new study about cannabis and tobacco. Also, draft regulations released in Massachusetts concerning adult use legalization there, and Trump takes an interest in the fate of a U.S. man in Bali over in Indonesia who's facing some serious time for having a few grams of medical marijuana. But first, I'm going to tell you that the Marijuana Times show is brought to you by NatureSideCannabis.com. Grow safe and poison-free. NatureSide Cannabis, organic, all-natural pesticides are already on the approved list for cultivators in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. If you want to be regulatory compliant, if you want to make sure there are no harmful chemicals in what you are growing, then you want to check out NatureSideCannabis.com and, get a hold of them. They can help you. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll help you pass regulations if you have a problem with that, or you think you may have a problem with that. And they're a proud sponsor of the Marijuana Time Show, NatureSideCannabis.com. This first story comes to us from marijuanatimes.org. Jason Sander writing about a new study shows that medical cannabis helps reverse specific harmful effects of tobacco. One of the main little-known issues that comes with smoking tobacco is a disease called thromboangiitis obliterans, or TO for short. We'll go with TO. TO clots capillary blood vessels in the veins and arteries of the fingers and toes due to the inflammation of the surrounding tissue. Showing yet another way the cannabis plant medicine can heal. A new study indicates that medical marijuana reverses the effect of this disease. The patient in this particular study was showing signs of what researchers call Brugger disease, which is another name for TO. The patient was found showing signs of TO after it was discovered. They also showed signs of ischemia. Basically, ischemia is when muscle and skin tissues begin to die because they aren't getting their proper nutrients. Usually this is caused by poor circulation in the fingers and toes. Basically, the study showed, says that using tobacco products, either chewing or smoking them, directly causes ischemia. In the case of this patient, the blood clotting was caused by the TO, and of course the cycle continues itself. The degree with which tobacco use exacerbates these symptoms of ischemia and TO is unknown. The study was initiated because a patient who smoked 2.5 packs a day was facing a possible amputation of his leg because of the severe symptoms of ischemia due to the TO. The patient's doctor and author of the study, Dr. Robertson, recommended amputation right below the knee. The patient refused that, cut back on his tobacco use, and after 6 months of self-medication with cannabis, the patient was able to get a prescription for medical cannabis, and the foot slowly regained circulation. The pain in his foot was reduced, and it was gradually continued to reduce over time. After 3 years of medical cannabis treatment, quitting tobacco and taking antibiotics, the patient's ischemia was reversed almost entirely. You can check out that story on marijuanatimes.org. Yet another thing, amazing thing, that the cannabis plant can do. This next story is from WBUR.org in Massachusetts. Panel OK's draft regulations for Massachusetts regulation pot industry. The Cannabis Control Commission voted on the draft regulations Thursday, many of which were discussed and given a preliminary approval last week. The regulations are not final. They will be subject to public hearings over the next few months with some revisions possible before pot shops are licensed to open. The Commission has been wrestling with questions including when and how to allow people to use marijuana in social settings, such as cannabis cafes, and how to promote diversity in what is expected to be a multi-billion-dollar commercial industry. Cannabis sales are scheduled to begin July 1st. Among the issues the Commission struggle with are rules for home delivery. Under a proposed rule, delivery drivers would have to obtain positive identification and proof that a buyer is 21 years or older, of age or older. The recipient would also have to sign for any delivery. The commission also grappled with the question of marijuana research facilities. Proposed rules would create a specific license for facilities that would be able to cultivate and purchase marijuana, but not sell it. Any testing done on humans may be approved by an institutional review board, and test subjects must be 21 years of age or older. The regulations are also designed to ensure that business opportunities in the new marijuana industry are open to economically disadvantaged people, particularly residents of minority neighborhoods who were targeted by the so-called war on drugs in recent decades. I don't know why they qualified as calling it the so-called war on drugs. It's, that was its official name. It's what Nixon called it. It's what everybody calls it. It's the war on drugs. It's the official name. Anyway, things were going along in Massachusetts, although the retail sales have been delayed until July. And that was done, as you may remember, by just a handful of legislators in Massachusetts. But in any case, they want to take their time, I guess, and really, because, cannabis is such a dangerous substance that needs to be heavily regulated and restricted, and they got to make sure they get it right. Of course. This next story comes to us from FoxNews.com. Trump takes an interest in Americans' Bali prison ordeal over medical marijuana. Americans' prison ordeal on the resort island of Bali has caught the attention of President Trump, apparently because it was on Fox News, and he saw it on Fox News, so that's why he knows about it. The American Christian Beasley, 32, was thrown into Bali's notorious Kerbokan prison in August after being picked up with a small amount of marijuana. First of all, let me stop right there. And you may remember this. There's been many stories about this like this. But remember a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, the 3 UCLA basketball players that got caught shoplifting in China. Everybody's very sad about that. And Trump had to step in and mediate and get them to come back home or whatever. But the obvious question is, what are you doing shoplifting in China? It's one thing to shoplift in America where you know what's going to happen, or you know what happens every day. China's a little bit different. Same thing with this, taking heavy marijuana in Indonesia. Obviously, I believe, like many people, that this should be legal everywhere. Marijuana should be legal everywhere in the world. But guess what? It's not. And in certain places, it's very, very illegal and will get you a lot of time. Indonesia is one of those places. Senior administration officials tell Fox News that after seeing the piece on Fox News, Trump inquired about getting involved. And of course, this is, poking a little fun at Trump. But if he can get involved and he can save someone from spending a lot of time in prison for marijuana, well, he should do that. No matter how he found out. It only came to his attention because it was on TV. I was encouraged the other day when the president and this new administration has been very good about helping Americans who are finding difficulty in foreign lands, an obvious reference to the UCLA players over in China. And I would love the situation where they would just send him home. Beasley's father, Hank Geisick, told Fox News. The father also said that the Kerbokan jail was designed for 300 inmates, which it now has 1,600 inmates. You can imagine the conditions there. He also says his son has had a rough life. He allegedly was kidnapped in 1989 from his backyard in San Diego through a shadowy group called the Children of the Underground. Christian was found a year and a half later in a cabin in Vermont. The group, according to reports, claimed to shelter alleged victims of child abuse in the 80s and 90s, hiding them in safe houses scattered throughout the U.S. The group's founder claims to have hidden in excess of 1,000 children. Beasley of California and compatriot Paul Anthony Hoffman escaped from the prison during heavy rain on December 10th. They sawed through a ceiling and they climbed over a 20-foot high wall. The guy that was with Beasley got caught almost immediately. But Beasley got away. He hired a motorbike to take him to Ubud, where he hid in a bush near a museum until midnight. He then rode in a car to Pandang Bay, a ferry port, where he hired a speedboat to take him to the resort island of Lombok. He was recaptured Saturday in an alley near a Lombok beach. This sounds a lot like a movie. I could swear I've seen that in a movie. Beasley told reporters, "I have a license to use ganja marijuana for medical reasons, but they want to give me 4 years or more in jail." Yeah, because you don't have a medical marijuana card in Indonesia, because medical marijuana cards in Indonesia don't exist. That's why you don't have one. You have one in America where your dumb ass, I'll say it, should have stayed. Don't take weed to Indonesia. I don't understand. He said he escaped because other inmates were trying to extort money from him and he feared being beaten because he had none to give. How was he bribing all these people if he didn't have any money? What was he bribing them with during his escape? Did he rob somebody before he left? I don't know. They threatened me to pay protection money. That's why I left. I need help. I really need help. Please help me. Please help me. In my country, it is not a crime to use ganja. Well, it is in some places, but I get his point. He's medically allowed to use it in the United States. Indonesia is not part of the United States. That's why he shouted to journalists while being taken back to the jail by police. His father has a problem. He wants him home. He doesn't understand why they parade them around in hoods. Maybe that's because they've been beating him up. I don't know. I mean, I understand the kids had a rough life or whatever. He was kidnapped and he was like he was held captive for a year and a half or whatever. But if you take marijuana to Indonesia, bad things may happen. As I said, having said that, if Trump can get him home, fine. That's great. I'm all for it. But, because obviously he's not going to learn anything one way or the other. But you make really bad decisions, really bad things are going to happen. Not sure what to tell you. It may seem like I have a lack of sympathy, because that's true. If you have a medical marijuana card and you have marijuana, be in the state where your medical marijuana card is legal. That's all you need to do. And you're fine. You're not in a Bali penitentiary that was designed for 300 people, but instead houses 1,600. And people are trying to extort you, and you fear for your life to the point where you try to escape and make some James Bond-esque trek from one ferry port to another. Stay home, kid. If Trump gets you home, stay home. And make sure you thank President Trump, because if you don't, well, he gets, pissy about it and goes on Twitter and starts yelling at you. That's going to do it for the Marijuana Times show for 2017, our last show of the year. Thanks to everybody who likes and shares and comments. Keep spreading the truth about cannabis. Help us spread the truth about cannabis. Keep sharing these videos. Share the stories at marijuanatimes.org. Thank you to naturesidecannabis.com for being a great sponsor. Naturesidecannabis.com, organic, all-natural pesticides. Go check them out if you want to sponsor the show. Email us at info@marijuanatimes.org. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next year.